Welcome to 27 Topics. Our guest today is Ruth Coller. She is the music teacher at Precious Blood School here for 27 Topics. Welcome.
Good morning.
This is Music in School Month,
Yes,
so it's an appropriate time to end the month talking about music. Discuss a little bit about the importance of music in school today. And of course, with you, we're talking about elementary.
Right. Music is probably the only part of a child's education where they can show their emotions. And so that's probably one of the main important reasons for students to have the musical experience. But also, every time the student is learning any type of music, it relates to science and math and social studies and reading. So every aspect of their schooling is included within the music classroom. For example, if I'm teaching the students a song, it might relate to something in science. Or when we're learning about how an instrument works, how the smaller ones play higher notes and the longer ones play lower notes because of the physics of it and the vibrations, and that all relates to science. Probably the biggest one would be math, because music is all based on mathematics, and we talk about fractions a lot with music, and a lot of the students can then relate that into their math class. But a lot of the songs that we sing have a background in either social studies or reading or like vowel sounds, and we talk about that a lot. And then it correlates back into the regular classroom.
Now, when we talk about music, we're not only talking about playing an instrument, we're talking about singing as well.
Singing, and also just learning the concepts and having a basic understanding of how music works. As an elementary music teacher, that's my main focus, is to give the students just a basic idea of how all music is put together and give them an enjoyment of music so they can take it further if they would like to when they move on in their life.
What percentage of the students, in Precious Blood are taking music?
As they move forward into the middle school?
Yeah.
Probably, I would say at Precious Blood, it changes from year to year, but I would say maybe 60% of the students move on to band instruments, and a lot of them already play the piano or take voice lessons.
Is that an average, or that seems like a large percentage?
In Jasper, we have a very high percentage of students who move on into the band program. We're very, very lucky. We have a very small number of students in the high school, but a very high percentage that play an instrument.
Do you use the keyboards?
Yes, I have a system in my classroom called Music and Education, and it's from Yamaha. And the keyboards are split into two different parts, and each student sits at their half of the keyboard, and the keyboard plays the same notes on each side. And we learn every single music standard that's from the Indiana State Standards and the National Standards through the use of that keyboard system. And they learn by playing and by hearing and by singing and seeing the music in front of them, and then they have also listening skills that they need to do while they're learning all of that. So it's a big all-around program that keeps them focused on what they're supposed to do. And basically, you can start in kindergarten, and this program can go all the way up to college level. So it's a huge program, and the students absolutely love it.
It's interesting that you really start the kids on the keyboard.
Yes, and along with other things in the classroom. Some days we'll do the keyboards, and some days we'll do a classroom activity. We do a lot of movement, and but the keyboards are moved into what we're doing in the other part of the classroom. So what we've learned on the keyboard we'll take into something else that we're doing in the class, and so it all relates and works together.
What is a day like for a music teacher at school?
Well, I have, 8 classes a day, and they're all 30 minutes, and my students rotate. Every 30 minutes, another class comes in, and get a break for lunch, and that's about it.
That's, every 30 minutes. How many students in a class?
Right now I have anywhere between 13 and 18 students in a class, which is a wonderful class average, up to 22. I have one class that has 21.
So do your classes breakdown have certain instruments? Is it broke down according to instruments?
Basically, it's broken down to the introduction and learning of the concepts. It's all spiral. So what they learn in kindergarten moves on into the 4th and 5th grade. And then in 4th and 5th grade, they also learn how to play the recorder, which takes all of the concepts we've learned from kindergarten on and adds it to a musical instrument. So they're applying what they have learned since kindergarten onto an actual music instrument.
So it doesn't make any difference what instrument they want to play.
Right, in the elementary school. Right. And then in 5th grade, they get to choose whether they want to be in the band program, and they're given the option of trying out those instruments, and then they select which instrument they would like to play when they're in the 6th grade.
We talk a lot about sports, and sports takes a primary role in of course, in athletics and
Yes.
exercise and that type of thing. But they always talk about teamwork, working together.
Exactly.
I guess to orchestrate a piece of music takes teamwork.
Exactly. If you are going to be in a marching band, for example, or a concert band, you really have to work together to produce that whole entire sound. When I have a program at school, the students have to work together to create that whole program.
But it seems to me that music and art funding, when the administrators have to cut budgets, those are usually the first things to cut.
That's very true.
But when you look at all of the curriculum, including athletics, they all have an importance.
Very much so. As a matter of fact, the legislature has passed a bill that all students should have a music and art background. It is now considered a core subject, whereas before it was easily cut because it wasn't considered a core subject. But now they've realized that music is extremely important to a well-rounded student and child. And they've done several studies that show that students who have a background in music have higher test scores. And most of the students who have gone on to be doctors and lawyers have a very strong music background.
The preparation and to continue on, and you say they have a better rounded curriculum and grades. Does music really, like you said, intermingle with everything you do?
Very much so.
And when administrators cut, what do you try to do to say, hey, please don't do this?
There are several committees in the state of Indiana and nationally that will come in to your program and talk to your administrators and your parents about the importance of music and explain why music is so important. Unfortunately, if the money isn't there, it is the first thing that is cut from the program. But there are a lot of people that rally behind that and try not to have that happen in the school system. I have a lot of friends who have been in that situation. I've never been in that situation, but I know it's very, very difficult for them.
I know in the greater Jasper school system, music has always been a big part.
Yes, it has.
And I think there probably are some scholarships and everything developed to help the music program in this corporation.
I know that there is a Philharmonic program here. It's a group of women, and they give a scholarship every year to an outstanding vocal student and an outstanding instrumental student each year. And then a lot of the students from Jasper, even if they're not going to be music majors, will receive a scholarship to play in an instrumental group in college. So that helps financially.
And that keeps on encouraging the
Yes.
the music field.
Yes, a lot of people enjoy playing, but they just don't want to be a music major, and that's basically what I like to teach my students, that you can enjoy music. You don't have to be a professional, but you can still enjoy music as you become older.
Well, I think that's one of the big things is you're not necessarily going to pursue it.
Right.
But, if you want to get together for a party
Exactly.
or, just to have some fun and musical instruments are there, chances are you're going to pick up and, hey, let's do a little.
Exactly.
Just for enjoyment and relaxation.
And people like to be involved in the church choirs and community choirs. There are a lot of community programs where they have a community band or a community choir, and it allows the adults to bring out those instruments and play when they haven't played for a long time.
It's really neat. What obstacles, other than what we've discussed, do you face as a teacher?
As a music teacher, probably the biggest obstacle is time. I feel like I don't have a lot of time to get done what I need to do. And the next thing would be money, as in any other program, to get funded. I'm very lucky where I am to have what I have at my school, but there's always more. There's always more you can add for a great program. Mm-hmm. But I think those are probably the two main issues that any music teacher would come across. It would be those two items.
If you or someone you know has a talent to showcase or an event to promote on 27 Topics, please contact this station.
So the funding, of course, you're in a private
Yes.
school. Is that a little more difficult than in the public school?
It depends. I know the public school is all funded through the government, but with our school, we can ask people for donations, and we have been very lucky with what we have gotten through donations to our program.
In addition to the obstacles of trying to raise money, but like you said, for you it has not been all other than continually.
Right.
You continually have to reinforce your purpose.
Right. Sometimes I feel like I'm asking too much, but then I feel like if I do not ask for it, then I'll never get it. So I might as well ask.
Well, if you never ask, you'll never win.
That's right.
You know what I mean? And but it's something that you as a teacher then you certainly have to continually work to probably raise funds.
Yes, and as it goes on into the middle school and the high school, they're continually having fundraisers, and there's a group of parents that get together and they raise money for the band. So
there is. What are some of the things that you do to raise money?
I am not allowed to fundraise in my school because our school has its own fundraising. But through the school fundraising, I can ask that group that has fundraised raise the money for some of the money through the school. So that's
Now,
always available.
of course, that's not all a bad idea. That way the whole school is out there working
Right.
on raising funds for all the different projects.
Right.
So you do face a lot. What kind of state requirements are there?
The state requires that each student have 90 minutes of music education per week. And there are several standards that are to be met from kindergarten on up through high school. And there's a huge book that we go through. And like I said before, it's all spiral, so it all builds upon each other. And I'm required to follow those state standards in my teaching, just like a classroom teacher is in math and science and reading and any other subject. So I make sure that I teach those standards. And like I said, with my keyboard system, it touches on every state standard as I go through the program. And it's all listed out there for me, so I don't have to look anything up, which is great.
So each student they recommend it or have to take 90 minutes a week?
It's in the state, it's required that they have 90 minutes. I know a lot of schools do not meet that requirement.
What do they, a lot of elementary schools, I don't know if they have band, but they could have, songwriting and singing and that type of thing.
Right, and I know that a lot of schools will consider the classroom teacher, if they sing in the classroom, that to be part of their music, their 90 minutes of music. But I know that what they're trying to move into in the state of Indiana is that it is being taught by a certified music educator. So that's coming along in the future.
There's always new things, aren't there?
Oh, definitely. Every year we have to learn. We have to keep learning every year.
Now, just what, you have kids, and so it's 90 minutes, so there is a grading. Is there a pass or fail, or is there a grade?
I am not required to give grades in my school. So basically, just for them to understand what's going on in the classroom is what I base.
Okay, and then
Base it on.
After they leave the elementary?
And if they're in the music program at the middle school and high school, there is a grading system. And I'm not real sure how they do their grading system there.
But then there is a grading system.
Yes.
So it behooves parents to have their kids take music and learn to play a musical instrument of some kind very early in life.
Yes. They would be a little bit further ahead.
It's like kindergarten and preschool.
I always like to tell my parents, if they wanted to have their child start taking lessons, I always tell them that it's better to wait until they can read first. There is a program, Suzuki program, where it's taught by rote, which is you're not required to be able to read. But if you're going to read music, it's easier and less frustrating for the student if they can read first.
So you kind of wait until they can read.
Right.
So what year does that start?
At first grade. First grade.
So
level.
you start in pretty well right
Yes.
away. Mm-hmm. So they learn an instrument or they learn how to sing. Do you find that there are students who just can't carry a tune?
That's my job as a music teacher, is to train them how to find their voice. The only students that I found that cannot carry a tune have a hearing problem or a vocal problem. Vocal nodules, which are when their voice has been used too often, screaming, or if they use their voice the wrong way when they've started talking. But most of the time, if they have a hearing problem, is the biggest issue in learning how to sing if they cannot carry a tune. But we work on that daily, on how to fix that and how to move into that singing voice.
So do you find students with hearing problems in?
Very rarely.
There
are very few, and usually when a student comes and I cannot get them to find that voice, then I will ask the parents if they've ever been tested or if they've ever had problems with their voice before.
Unless they're truly deaf, I guess at that point you can find a hearing device to
Right.
help
That's
them out.
correct. Mm-hmm.
Now, do you have any performances or contests where the kids have to perform together?
I have 2 performances a year. I have one at Christmas, and that's always a Christmas-based program. And then I have one in the spring, which we just finished ours this past Tuesday. And we did a play in the kindergarten through 3rd grade. And then we did a program in the 4th and 5th grade where all the songs related to one subject.
What percentage, well, I don't know if it's percentage, and I know you mentioned, in church groups and other groups that they perform in, sometimes you feel like there are people who have talent in our community,
Yes.
yet there is no place where they can perform,
right.
Where people can hear them or that type of thing. Do you find that?
Sometimes I feel that the students who like to sing and have a very good voice have nowhere to go. In Evansville and in larger cities, they'll have citywide children's choirs so that those students can meet together and then move a little bit forward in their singing potential, which I would not be able to do in the classroom situation.
Sure.
So a couple of my friends and I have talked about possibly putting a children's choir together in the Du Bois County area and bringing students who really like to sing together. But then I always like to tell the students, if they like to sing, to join their church children's choir, because that gives them that extra singing time. And then I work with a program called Circle the State with Song, which is through the state of Indiana. The state is divided into 9 areas, and those 9 areas put together a festival. And each school can choose up 10 or more students to participate in this choir, and they sing songs that are much more difficult than what we would normally sing in the classroom. So sometime every year I have at least 10 students who are able to participate in that choir, and that's available to every school in the state of Indiana.
And it's would be in a region. Ours would be, I guess, Southwest Indiana.
Yes, it is. It's the Southwest region. We've had it in Vincennes, Princeton, Evansville, and the surrounding area. Mount Vernon has hosted it a couple times.
Does that get a lot of publicity?
Unfortunately, no, it does not.
A lot of these things go on, and I don't know if maybe the media isn't informed of it or something like that.
They are informed. There's a press release that I was in charge of it one year. So there is a press release that is sent out to all the stations in the area and all the newspapers. And when it first was introduced 17 years ago, there was very much publicity. But now that it's in the 18th year, it's kind of dwindled down.
Needs to be reignited again?
I believe so. It's a fantastic program, and it's very disappointing that the students don't get the recognition.
Now there are music contests or something, or
that's for.
Is this like do people move up the line in the music contest like they do in other?
Yes, they do. They start out. There's different levels that you can enter into those contests, and for example, a 6th grade band would start at an elementary level, and then once they get up into the higher grades, 8th grade. Freshmen, they can move into a group 1, which is the highest level, and then if they receive a high score at the local contest, they can move to the state contest, and then they're scored again on that same solo.
And it doesn't make any difference what instrument or
no,
when they enter, right. Are they graded according to the end?
Yes. The judges actually are in that area. For example, if a trumpet player was playing, he would be judged by a trumpet player. That's a professional, either a college professor or a band director in the state of Indiana or surrounding states.
Now, you start the kids out early on the keyboard.
Yes, in kindergarten.
Do you teach keyboard?
I actually don't teach them how to play the piano, but we're using every concept in. So when they start in kindergarten, by the time they're in 5th grade, they'll have a very vast knowledge of the keyboard and be able to play songs like they would play on a piano and then move it into playing the piano.
But, are there not in the state, contests for pianists?
Yes, there are several actual contests that the children can perform in for piano. One is the solo and ensemble contest. Mm-hmm. Also, vocal students can perform in the same contest. And it's put on by the State School Music Association. And then there's also a program called Federation, where the pianist in any instrument basically can also participate in that contest, which is coming up, I believe, April 28th.
Now, we're getting down toward the end of the program. Of course, we have the marching band competition in high school.
Yes.
How much time? I mean, it seems like, of course, by the time school starts to when the contest is, there is not much organization time.
When the band starts, they basically start their show at the end of July when they go to band camp.
Okay.
And then they practice 3 times a week, 4 times a week until school starts. And then they practice twice a week on Tuesday and Thursday evenings. And then all day Saturday, they're gone to contest. And then Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, they might do individual groupings of practices. So marching band season from July, basically to the end of July to the end of October, is very time consuming. And right now, the concert bands, both concert bands at the high school are in contest season. So they've been practicing in the evenings on Tuesday and Thursday evening for that upcoming contest also.
That is fantastic, and the band contest, the way everyone marches together and is together in sync, is just fantastic.
That's a lot of time, takes a lot of time and a lot of effort. And as a matter of fact, my personal feeling is they're getting more PE credit in marching band than they ever would in a PE class. So it's a lot of work.
I'm sure it is, and it all starts in the elementary level.
That's correct.
Ruth, you are to be commended.
Thank you very much
for your efforts and teaching in the field of music. Is there any final comments that you would like to have the public know about?
Well, I'd just like to say support music in your schools. It's very important to your students and your children.
Ruth, thank you for being our guest on 27 Topics.
Thank you very much.